Topping the news this half hour, illegal border crossings are not just happening down south. Parts of the northern border in New York State are active.
News 4 Investigates sits down with the Buffalo Field Office Director overseeing enforcement, detention, and removal in the region. Luke Moretti reports.
Discharging a firearm, DWI, and he has an ag assault charge as well.
We hear a lot about illegal immigration involving the southern border. But what about the northern border?
We're seeing unprecedented numbers on the northern border.
This is Thomas Brophy during an interview with News 4 Investigates back in March.
The upper portion of my field office near the Vermont, Canada, New York border is the epicenter for unlawful entries along the northern border.
Brophy is the Buffalo Field Office Director for Enforcement Removal Operations, known as ERO. It's a division of ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
My office encompasses the entire northern border in New York State and 48 counties in the state of New York.
ERO officers enforce immigration laws in the interior of the United States, and the agency manages aspects of the immigration enforcement process, including detention and removal.
We don't police by nationality, we respond to conduct.
In other words, non-citizens, as ICE refers to them, who make entry into the U.S., whether lawfully or unlawfully, and subsequently commit a crime. Agency data show that arrests in the Buffalo area of responsibility have increased over time. Nearly 4,000 arrests over fiscal years 2021, 22, and 23. Those include individuals with criminal convictions, pending criminal charges, and other immigration violations.
When somebody who's from another country commits a crime in the United States, whether it's a direct violation of immigration law or state law or whatever, we'll investigate that violation, and then if there's cause to take action, make an arrest, take them into custody, or place them into immigration proceedings.
Brophy, Niagara Falls born and raised, says once in the system, an immigration judge will review the case and determine whether or not an individual has a lawful right to remain in the United States or be removed.
If the judge issues an order of removal, then my office, one of the things we do is we effect that removal order. We'll help send that person back to the country of their origin.
How do you do that? Brophy says the Buffalo Field Office oversees about 37,000 cases of individuals moving through the immigration system. The vast majority of them are not detained.
We've had people on our docket for years, that are going through the immigration system, and they might be going through appeals. There might be people that can't be removed to their country, so they continue to report to us.
He says for those individuals not detained, they're required to report in regularly as their case moves through the immigration system.
The majority of the people we detain are because of a threat concern, whether they've committed a crime, been convicted of a crime. There might be national security concerns.
Or a foreign fugitive on U.S. soil. Just last month, ERO officers from the Buffalo Field Office arrested a Peruvian national who was captured in the Binghamton area and brought to the federal detention facility in Batavia. Peruvian authorities tell the Associated Press that he's a reputed gang leader, suspected in 23 killings in his home country.
The majority of the people detained have, there's a reason to detain them. And that reason is, one of our core missions is to keep the community safe, public safety.
But immigration is a polarizing issue in America, taking center stage in the heated political sphere.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country.
But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
Immigration enforcement is also on the radar of local advocates like Jennifer Connor.
In terms of just Buffalo and immigration enforcement, it's a tough place for people.
Connor is the executive director of Justice for Migrant Families, a Buffalo-based organization that supports and advocates for people impacted by immigration.
We have really, really high numbers of immigration enforcement compared to our population. And so that's really hard for people who are living here, who are just trying to live their lives, go to work, like support their families, that's it. It's really hard. There's a lot of fear that people have.
We investigate individuals who commit offenses. And it's targeted enforcement. It's not sweeps and it's not raids. And, we're a professional organization. You know, our job is very important. Our mission is very important to the national security and safety of our nation, and we take it serious.
But critics like Connor argue that there's a lack of transparency when it comes to releasing information about conditions and the treatment of individuals detained at the federal detention facility in Batavia.
You know, we want to see people treated better, and yeah, we're here to see more transparency in Batavia.
I want people to understand that we're not draconian and how people are treated here. They're treated at the highest level.
We'll have more on that in our next report. Luke Moretti, News 4.